There's one reason why most people watch video game presentations, and you probably already know what that is.
Everyone! Oh shit!
These reactions are what make the presentations worth watching. With this last Nintendo Direct, there were over 3 million people watching it live, and over 1 million of those viewers were watching streamers reacting to it. Whether you were reacting alone or watching someone else, you just don't want to be left out of the loop. We all know Twitter's gonna spoil that announcement the second it happens, so for the sake of not missing out on anything, you kinda have to watch. And when you start to think about what we're actually watching, it's kinda genius. Because we are all tuning in to hope that our wildest predictions will come true. Even though we know deep down that Mother 3 will never be localized. Nintendo has been perfecting this formula over the last 10 years, and they are honestly one step away from becoming the next QVC. Now act fast, because if you call within the next 15 minutes, you'll get a second set of Joy-Cons absolutely free. It doesn't matter though, because both of those sets will come with drift built right into them. These direct presentations have really only garnered hype around them over the last 5 years. Before these directs were the standard, all we got was a slow drip of information from either E3 or other trade shows. These are basically just each company fighting to get the best headline from the journalists in the room, and this led to some interesting presentations, especially from Nintendo, because, well, why don't I just show you? I have no idea what I'm doing. This was part of their 2006 conference, and it wasn't the best way to show off the Wii, but they tried again in 2008 when they showed off Wii Music. This time they went with a drummer to showcase how Wii Music was going to be the game that dethrones Guitar Hero. You can probably already guess how well that went.
Not quite my tempo.
After that amazing drum solo, we get to the cringiest part of this presentation. They inform us how Wii Music can give you lessons and actually teach you how to play the drums.
In fact, Ravi only started practicing just yesterday, and as you can see, he's already gotten quite good.
Oh my god, the silence is deafening. They then try to show us again on how well orchestral music works on the Wii. I have to warn you, this video is hard to watch. I don't know why they tried this again, because even Miyamoto makes a joke on how well his demonstration went in 2006. I can only assume these are the reasons why they went to pre-recorded E3 press conferences. With these Nintendo Directs, they started off relatively small, mostly focusing on 3DS announcements, but once the Switch was revealed, they turned these into major events. It was usually Reggie that was the main host of the Nintendo Directs, but now we have a new presenter, Yoshiaki Koizumi, who is a producer on both Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario 3D World. With this new format in place, this is where they started to introduce that mystery element into these presentations. They would show off a list of headlines like this, but some of the bars would be blocked out, keeping the viewer guessing on what announcements were going to be shown next. It was a good start, but I don't remember any earth-shattering announcements from these headlines. Knowing some of the games that were going to be announced next really doesn't help build the audience's hype, so Nintendo revamped these presentations once again in 2018 to help with that. These presentations need to build that audience anticipation to help sell some of the Switch games. That's why the Directs are announced the day before they happen, to give fans that opportunity for their imaginations to run wild. There are two things that make a Nintendo Direct legendary: new Smash character or surprise game reveal. Starting the presentation off with a Smash Bros. Reveal is one of their smartest decisions in a long time. The Smash community is built around hype and excitement, and the trailers made to show who's coming next are perfectly produced to cater to this fan base. You get this subtle animation that opens the Direct, and that's your cue to pay attention. Just from seeing a transition alone, you get that amazing anticipation that's so hard to come by right now. But they didn't always used to be like that. Look at this trailer back in 2014 when they announced Cloud was coming to Wii U Smash. They showed the name of the game the new character was coming from, and right away you knew it was going to be Cloud. It gets the job done, but compared to Sephiroth's reveal, that makes it look like a Microsoft conference. Now with the surprise game reveals, it can be as simple as a title screen, but just knowing something is in development can drive someone crazy. I remember the exact moment I saw that Metroid Prime 4 title, and I'm still just as excited as I was 4 years later. But please, Nintendo, don't make me wait another 4 years. Every individual knows what game they want to be announced, and if you manage your expectations correctly, you just might get it. Screw that! Nintendo, please give me Donkey Konga on the Switch! With all this hype being created for Nintendo's games, it wasn't long before the competition came in and copied their homework. Other companies started to figure out that this style of presentation works remarkably, and so both Sony and Microsoft have started it. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't say that sentence with a straight face. Only Sony has made something worth getting excited about. They understand that these presentations need to be about hyping your game up, even if it's only for DLC. Let's take a look at the most recent State of Play. It was a 30-minute presentation about some of the smaller games that are coming out this year, and they dedicated the last 8 minutes to showing off Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5. Alongside Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC coming to the PS5, Square also announced 2 mobile games on Twitter. Now imagine if that was just a separate Final Fantasy Direct. Twitter would be losing its mind, speculating on Final Fantasy XVI, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, or what's the next Final Fantasy game to be remade. Then they just announced DLC in 2 mobile games? Twitter would be foaming at the mouth with how Square Enix betrayed them, but they knew exactly what they were doing. Luckily with those announcements, we got this beautiful video of Super Butterbuns absolutely losing her mind.
2020s must celebrate a game?
Oh, it's happening! Oh, God!
Knowing how to announce and present information is the key ingredient in making those presentations worth watching. And I'm sorry to say it, but it feels like Nintendo is starting to lose that. This brings us to the issues with the last Nintendo Direct that happened in February of 2021. This video was watched by over 3 million people, and the dislikes on it account for 25% of the total engagement. So why didn't people like it? Well, the easy answer is the pandemic. Everything probably got delayed due to working from home, and Nintendo wasn't really ready to show off anything new last year. This created a gap of almost a year between mainline directs, and the last one didn't have a Smash Bros. Reveal or a new game from one of Nintendo's flagship franchises. Considering everything going on in the world right now, people are just looking for anything to get excited about, and that just added some unneeded pressure onto this presentation. Nintendo wanted to leave people excited for what's to come next, so they used the 2 things that were supposed to make this one legendary. They started with a Smash character reveal and ended with a new entry in the Splatoon franchise, but that didn't leave everyone satisfied, and I think it's because of the trailers. The newest fighters in Smash are Mythra and Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I think that trailer went on for a little too long. They started the show with it, so I could kind of figure out that it was going to be a Smash reveal, so the hype factor really wasn't there, since most people figured out what was going to happen. With Splatoon 3, it ended the show. I think the first half of that trailer was really bad. They revealed the Inkling character way too quickly, and they didn't really show anything that would get someone excited about Splatoon if they already didn't like it. This is coming from a gigantic Splatoon fan as well. It's my most played Switch game, and it's really the only online multiplayer game that I actually enjoy playing. On top of both of these trailers lacking that hype factor, the way they announced Skyward Sword HD really upset fans. The presenter of this direct, Shinya Takahashi, says he has a little bit more to show us, and to take a look at this. They transition over to Eiji Aonuma, who's the producer on the Legend of Zelda series, so now everyone is waiting in anticipation for that sweet, sweet Breath of the Wild 2 news.
I'm sure a lot of you saw me and thought there might be news about the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game.
Yeah?
Unfortunately, we don't have anything to share right now.
Come on.
We apologize.
Nintendo, how did you not see this wasn't a bad idea? The last time we saw him was E3 2020, where he came out and said that they didn't have anything to show for Breath of the Wild 2, but that was okay then. To have him come out again after you intentionally hype up what's about to be shown next, that's just damaging to the customer relationship we have with Aonuma. What would have worked better is to show Skyward Sword first, and then have him come out and talk about Breath of the Wild 2, or don't even have him come out at all. It would have been far better to not get any information on the game instead of the way they went about it. This also disappointed some fans because apparently Skyward Sword is the most hated Zelda game. You all are crazy. I'm gonna be having a blast in July, throwing my Joy-Cons around, pretending to be Link, and I'll finally get to find out if my Joy-Cons drift or not, since I only use the Pro Controller. I'm gonna be pissed if they do. I wanted to make sure that I could identify every potential problem with that last Direct, so I watched them all. Yeah, I viewed over 100 Nintendo presentations just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I'm actually glad I did, but I don't recommend it. It helped me identify a major shift going on with these presentations that I don't see anyone else talking about. After the passing of Iwata in 2015 and the departure of Reggie in 2019, Nintendo hasn't even come close to finding a recognizable face for the company. Doug Bowser took over for Reggie as CEO of Nintendo of America, and we've only seen him twice, at E3 2019 and 2020. Now Doug had probably the largest shoes to fill out of anyone, because Reggie was able to do the impossible. He made us feel that a CEO of a billion-dollar corporation might actually listen to us and didn't just act like a generic suit and tie. I went back and watched the video where he announced his retirement, and I'm not gonna lie, I still got a little emotional. This man that I had never met before felt like a friend that I could talk about video games with all day, and that was because of his incredible confidence and charisma. The first time we met Reggie was at E3 2004, and he had the balls to start a company presentation off with this.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names. And we're about making games.
This beautiful man commanded the crowd, and you listened anytime he spoke. This was a different kind of presenter, one that would joke about fan theories and actually acknowledged Mother 3. He also created Nintendo's best meme with,
"My body is ready."
So many companies have tried to force their own memes, and that's not how it works. The way Reggie says this seemingly awkward phrase with his signature joking confidence created history, and he brought that to every Nintendo Direct. Some of these earlier Directs had skits and multiple presenters, but those have all been removed in order to streamline the presentation. Now they have certain people that are dedicated to talking about individual game series, and that gets people excited for seeing a certain face on screen. The host for the last few Nintendo Directs, Shinya Takahashi, is just a general producer on every Nintendo game, and he just feels like a generic suit and tie that's in the way of letting me see more games. Anytime Reggie or Iwata were on screen, you paid attention and listened, instead of wishing they were done talking. Reggie was so good at his job that he could probably get me excited for that DC mobile game they showed up at that last Nintendo Direct. The biggest problem I see going forward with Nintendo is that they don't have a recognizable face that people immediately listen to when they appear on screen. They are already actively damaging the ones we listen to, and there's probably a business reason behind that, but I'm just not smart enough to understand it. Nintendo got me excited for their games again with the Switch, and I hadn't bought a console since the GameCube. I have a huge amount of nostalgia for Nintendo games, but the Switch has really helped me remove my rose-tinted glasses for them, and nostalgia alone won't sell me on their games anymore. I truly hope that Nintendo has an amazing year next year with Breath of the Wild 2, because come on, that game is not coming out this year. I want to be excited for the future of Nintendo, and I hope this video is irrelevant soon, but for right now, there are some things that need to be improved upon. So what do you guys think? Do you think I'm just spouting off conspiracy theories, or do you actually think Nintendo does need to step it up? Let me know down in the comments, and since you've watched the whole thing, why not like and subscribe? It really helps me with this dreaded algorithm that we're all trying to overcome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.